Guys, it's Jolene from Smith's Nature Friendly Farms. I've been on the hunt for a long time for an Arctic Frost Satsuma tree, and I have finally found it, and I'm going to share why you guys absolutely need to add this tree to your orchard this year. So I have been on the hunt for this Arctic Frost Satsuma for so long. It feels like it was really only maybe a year, maybe two. But honestly, it took me a while to find it. You can find them online. Some don't ship to different states, and then a lot of them were sold out. So I think this is a tree that is in a bit of a demand right now. And we were so lucky to get it at a local greenhouse. I've never seen them at a greenhouse. So hats off to in Summit, there's a Williamson's nursery, and they had two of them for sale, and they were very kind to let me know that they had them. And I was able to go down today and get one. And the price was super reasonable. This one was $60. Online, they can range. They're usually about $89 up to $120. So I feel like I got a really good value from Williamson's nursery. So super excited about that. Not only did I get a good value, but I got a fantastic tree. Now, for those of you that don't know about an Arctic Frost Satsuma, they are amazing. Phenomenal producers of oranges, sweet, delicious oranges with low seeds, and they're more cold hardy than regular Satsuma trees and a lot of orange trees. So they'll live in an area a little bit more cooler than a lot of areas are used to. So let's take a look at the tree itself, and I'll go through some of the neat facts about it. So this is a little Satsuma tree here. This guy was developed by an Agrolife horticulturist and a Dr. Ying Dun Moy, who lived out of San Antonio, who basically took the winning qualities from two different types of Satsuma trees. It might have been more than one type of Satsuma tree, don't quote me on that. So typically Satsuma trees are not cold hardy, or if they are cold hardy, they don't taste as good. So that's basically what they worked on, is they worked on creating a tree that tastes good but was also cold hardy. So they took their cold hardy varieties that didn't have great flavor and taste, mingled it with varieties that had really great flavor and taste, and created this winning tree. Now, I find some of the information on this a bit hard to follow with regards to what temperatures it can truly handle. So that's going to be a bit of an experiment here for us, because if you go and read the labels right now, it says it can survive to -1 or 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So -1 Celsius or 30 degrees Fahrenheit. But you go on AgriThrive's webpage, and they have studies showing it's survived as low as 9 degrees Fahrenheit, which is -12 Celsius. That's pretty low. That's a pretty phenomenal tree. Now, it will apparently die. It can take dieback, like it might actually die back to the ground and then come back. So I don't know if that's what happens at the super low temperatures, and these -1 and 30 degrees is just how it would survive without dieback. But we're going to test it out, and we're going to see how well it survives outside. They had to do a lot in order to accomplish this amazing tree, really. They had to change the anthems, they had to change the pollen that was extracted from different varieties and aspects of the seed in order for it to really produce what they were looking for in quality and in hardiness. If you've never had a Satsuma, these are phenomenal oranges. In Canada, we get a lot of mandarin oranges. We enjoy those, especially at Christmas time. These are honestly, guys, better than a mandarin orange, and that's pretty tough to say because mandarin oranges are pretty darn good. They are bigger and they are slightly fruitier. The only difference with a mandarin that the mandarin orange would win is that a mandarin, I've never had a seed in it, or very rarely. These guys, you will on occasion have a seed, not very many. It certainly doesn't make it bothersome, but there will be a seed on the occasional one. Apparently this variety has maybe 1 to 2 seeds, so that's super low, fantastic. They will also continue to have the great flavor of a Satsuma, and they will be easy to peel, which is fantastic. What's interesting about these guys is they are grown from their own rootstock. If a strong freeze gets them, they don't produce shoots below their graft. This tree will grow 8 to 12 feet in the ground and about 6 feet if you leave it in a pot. And it definitely can be grown in a pot. So you don't have to put it in the ground. Our intentions are to put it in the ground. We are looking for less plants to have to water when we go away, and more plants that produce that are outside. So this one is supposedly going to be great for that. So we're going to try putting it in the ground. We're going to put it out where it's got some protection from the wind, Lots of sun. It needs full day's sun in order to survive and do well. And it will produce a ton of fruit, apparently. So I know the Satsuma trees that are growing out here have done really well and produced a lot of oranges. So in about 5 to 6 years, we can expect to start harvesting a large amount of fruit off of it. It'll produce a little bit here and there in between, but it's 5 to 6 years for its full maturity. So let's talk about the first couple of years with this plant. We really have to take care of it, baby it a little bit, just to make sure that it establishes really well. So for the first 2 years, I'm actually going to leave it in a pot to allow the roots and the canopy to develop before I put it in the ground. And I envision doing that with any of the trees that I bring into our garden. Any bare root trees we brought in, we've planted them and we're letting them establish root systems and canopies before we put them in the ground. And I think that really helps their survival rate. We've definitely lost bare root trees that we've just gone out and immediately planted. They need more babying, more care, extra feedings, good soil, lots of draining soil. You've got to watch them, make sure they get enough water, all those types of things in their first couple of years until they get a bit stronger. And then in 2 to 3 years, we'll probably put this guy in the ground. So this will be a long time before we really truly know how great it is at surviving. It's neat that it's a pretty low maintenance plant as well. It doesn't require any pruning, and it has really low, it doesn't have a lot of pests. It does have the spikes. If you don't like the typical citrus tend to have spikes on them, it does have that. It's too bad they couldn't breed that out of it. But perhaps that works well for keeping critters from eating them. In the first 2 years, you'll want to make sure that this plant, while it's young, is kept covered if you plant it outside. I'll probably keep mine in the greenhouse on frosty days. But if you're going to plant it outside, if you get one, you'll want to make sure it's covered with a blanket and it has a good warm source there for it. Those of you that maybe don't have the space for an orchard and they're just looking for a potted option of it, you can most definitely pot this orange tree up. I have one currently in the greenhouse and it's been just lovely. We got 15 oranges off of it this year and it's sitting in a pot and it's got lots of room to grow. It's not even in a giant pot. So most definitely, if you don't have the space to plant this guy outside, you can grow it in a pot and it'll grow to about 6 feet tall. So that's reasonable for storing in a garage. If you're lucky enough to maybe have a heated garage, you could get away with even having that probably up north. I would not be hesitant to bring these plants inside. When you finally get to the point of putting it in the ground, make sure you have a super large hole that you're putting it into, giving it lots of space and lots of room for the roots to grow into, give it some good organic matter. It likes well-draining soil, so don't put it in any soggy spots. That's a bit tough sometimes in the South Mississippi, but I'm sure there's a place around here that we can find to get it into. So for now, for the next little while, it's going to spend some time in a pot. I'm just super stoked to have it. Really excited to have it, and I'm super grateful to Williams Nursery in Summit, Mississippi for having this one on its shelves, and well, it now has one less. So get if you can, get yourself a Arctic Frost Satsuma tree. Super awesome plant to either pot it up or plant it in your yard. Awesome, you guys. Be friendly, be kind.